So everybody knows that painkillers like aspirin and ibuprofen can cause problems in your stomach that can lead to, if you take them a lot, they can lead to ulcers and inflammation. And that's usually, you're taught in medical school that if they're taken for long periods of time, they're going to cause stomach ulcers and things like that. But what most people don't realize is taking painkillers, even in small amounts, can lead to tiny tears in your intestines that leads to something called leaky gut syndrome. So leaky gut syndrome is when your intestines become too permeable and food that's not fully digested and so toxic in a sense to the bloodstream goes into the bloodstream, and it causes an inflammatory response in your immune system. And as we've talked about so many times, the inflammatory hormones cause you to gain weight. So if you're getting tiny tears in your intestines that's causing leaky gut, it's going to cause inflammation, it's going to cause weight gain. So these type of painkillers can over time lead to a kind of chronic inflammation, which is ironic in a sense because chronic inflammation also leads to pain, which causes the need for painkillers. So it's sort of self-feeding in a sense. But the typical types of over-the-counter painkillers that can cause these problems are called non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. And they are, I'll just read some, so Advil, Motrin, aspirin, something called Aleve, some of these I've never heard of, Celebrex, I've heard of Naproxen, Ladine, Mobic, Naflon, Dapro, Anside, Cambia, and in general something called COX-2 inhibitors. All these things can lead to inflammation in your gut, tiny tears in the lining of your gut, which then leads to leaky gut syndrome, inflammation, and weight gain. So what you want to do really is you want to take steps to do two things. One, heal the leaky gut, and two, address the root causes of the pain so you don't need the painkillers in the first place. If you can do those two things, then you can reverse this whole scenario. So to heal the leaky gut, you want to take things that are high in probiotics and fermented foods and stay away from things that cause problems in your digestion, such as wheat, processed sugar, dairy. So you want to find alternatives to those things. We've talked about that many times. That can help heal the leaky gut, but you also want to reduce the source of the pain, and you can do that in a couple of ways. One is by having more live foods, more omega-3 fatty acids, because they're very anti-inflammatory, and sometimes it's the inflammation that causes the pain. Also, meditation and visualization that reduces stress. So the stress hormones can cause pain and headaches, so you want to develop a stress reduction routine where you're meditating, visualizing, and then having more live foods, more liquids like juices and water, because sometimes we develop pain and headaches because we're dehydrated. So in all these ways, by taking care of yourself from a mind-body perspective, you're not going to need the medications that are causing the leaky gut, and by having more healthy foods and fermented foods, you'll heal the leaky gut, and this whole scenario will go away, the chronic inflammation will go away, the inflammatory hormones will go down, and weight loss will become infinitely easier. They also help reduce things like type 2 diabetes also. So it's a great, great scenario where you're focusing specifically on mind-body health. So if you've got any ideas for healthy alternatives to painkillers and healthy ways of addressing the root causes of pain that have worked for you, please share it with us. We'd love to hear from you, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care.